Hey, Joan.
Yes, sir.
I've been well, Dan. It is 6:07 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So I, of course, with your raspiness this morning that shocking no one is the guys in the audience are like, ooh.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
And so I said, because the guys are liking the raspy. And so I said, you sound like Bonnie Tyler. And I said, you should throw down a line from, Turn Around Bright Eyes and all that.
Yeah.
And so I've been well danned by folks in the listening audience who are saying, no. She doesn't sound like Bonnie Tyler. She actually sounds like
She got Betty Davis eyes.
Kim Carnes.
Oh, Kim Carnes. Yeah.
Kim Carnes.
Yeah. I
So-
like that.
Yeah, do you? You want to throw down a little Kim Carnes?
No, I don't want to throw it down.
Are you
I just
sure?
said I liked it.
I tell you, you
She
just
got Betty Davis eyes.
Somebody else has said that it sounds like Demi Moore.
it's not Demi, it's Demi.
Demi
What is
Moore.
wrong with you?
I know. Sorry.
You probably get all your news from NPR, but probably not for much longer. We'll have to see what happens. So, real quick, because this is a great story, and I absolutely love this. NPR is about to, it would appear, lose their funding. And by the way, I do believe that they should lose their funding for a number of different reasons.
Is it wrong to have Glee for that?
It is not wrong to have Glee for that because we in the radio industry, our taxpayer, and I pay a lot of taxes. My taxpayer dollars is going to fund my competition, basically. And so, and they are extremely left. And so when you look at what the president of NPR said, and I don't know exactly what her name is, but Paula Kerger. This is Paula Kerger, and she was on CNN. She actually said this.
I asked them for examples. People often struggle to come up with examples of what really they're talking about.
Right. So Senator John Kennedy out of Louisiana, that just exploded online, where she said, people have a hard time finding examples of NPR's bias. So Senator John Kennedy out of Louisiana, of course, one of my favorites, says, well, we actually have some examples. And he starts posting all of these examples that he has come up with over the years. This was, of course, on the Senate floor.
Here's another one. This came from Louisiana Public Broadcasting. Becoming Papa, father's key to gender justice. I can tell you that's every mom and dad in Louisiana, when they lie down to sleep at night and they can't, they're lying there worried about gender justice.
Gender justice, Joan.
Not.
So,
Unbelievable.
Gender justice, that's one such example. Here's another one. Of course, there is a preponderance, of course, over there on NPR of race baiting.
How America's history of racism connects to divisions today.
All right, so calling, of course, America racist and all these other things, which, all that race baiting, there's always going to be a place for that on NPR and certainly within the left. And it does continue with Senator John Kennedy with some white shaming.
The hidden racism of young white Americans. Your tax dollars.
The hidden racism of young white Americans, courtesy of NPR. So if that wasn't bad enough, then you have all of these tweets that have been going out from NPR's CEO. And is it Catherine Mayer? I believe it is. Mayer?
I think it's Mar.
Okay.
I think.
So listen to some of these tweets from NPR. And these are tweets from NPR's actual Twitter feed. Some white people may choose thumbs up because it feels neutral, but some academics argue opting out of a thumbs up signals a lack of awareness about white privilege, akin to society associating whiteness with being raceless. And they're talking about the actual color of the thumbs up icon or emoji, if you will. Another one, fat phobia and it's racist past and present. So in other words, if you look at somebody and you're like, you're really fat,
Yeah.
then somehow I guess that's racist. Now remember, when I talked about this in the 5 o'clock hour, where some of these things, and I've spoken about this often, where I need like a liberal friend to explain some of this to me because I truly don't understand it. How racism became a marketing tool for country music. So the pattern here, obviously, for NPR, who claims that they're not biased, is racism and white shaming. Here's another one. This right-wing conspiracy theory about eating bugs is about as racist as you think. Now, unfortunately, these are only headlines. Do you know what we need to do, Joan? What we need to do is we need to do a segment, almost like Libs of TikTok, where we do a segment every day on the left and the absurdity of the things that they say and what they post and what they mean and so forth, and try and figure out exactly what they mean by it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, how do they come to these sort of conclusions? Here's another one. You ready? On Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
Kamala Harris already faces racism and sexism from Donald Trump and the Republicans. That is from one of their shows, I guess. It's called Consider This. And I just, for the life of me, I don't understand how, and maybe this, do you know what this is an example of, Joan?
What's that?
This is an example of liberal privilege.
Yes. Yes.
Because you know how they always say that, white privilege is because white people, they have the privilege of not knowing they're racist.
Yeah.
Right? Well, this is liberal privilege. This is an example of people on the left not understanding how racist they are, or how infused with this wokeism they are. I guess they don't see it. They don't understand it. So that is just a few headlines from people on from NPR as they are trying to prove that they are not, biased on the left, when the reality is they clearly are. And trust me when I say they're going to be just fine. They have. Can I make a confession, Joan?
Yes. We love when you make confessions.
I desperately want to read Fat Phobia and its racist past and present. I actually want to. Can somebody find that for me?
Oh, yeah.
Because I truly want to know what that means. Because
KGB
maybe somehow it makes sense to somebody.
It's not going to make sense.
And by the way, can I ask another question? What exactly is fat phobia? like that's the other thing that jumps out at me. Like, if you see somebody who is overweight,
and if you care about them, their health in general,
then you're fat phobic?
That's right.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. And have you noticed? So articles like that came along with this new thing about, Lizzo, and right, and the Dove brand. I don't know if you've noticed this, but the Dove brand, they've decided that having fat women in their bra and underwear, showing a lot of skin, that's cool, and
that's a whole thing.
Yeah,
there is a segment of our society. You go to the mall. I went to the mall. Here, real quick, we got to do traffic, then we'll come back. 6:15, time to check the roads on WTN. Thank you, Mason. 6:16 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Talking about that Dove brand and all that, is that you go to the mall, and I actually went to the mall yesterday. And you do see some folks that they are morbid. And I've got my own problems with weight. I've been battling weight issues for years. But I got to tell you that going to the mall and seeing, girls where they've got like triple bellies, you know what I'm talking about?
I do know.
Like, it's like layer after layer, and it's like the belly is like down to like mid to upper thigh.
Yeah.
and they've got a half shirt on.
Yes.
And it's like, oh, honey,
Yeah.
and somebody tell them. But
There's no self-respect.
I don't know. They believe that it's, I don't know, proper. And listen, if that's what I'm very libertarian in a lot of ways. I mean, if that's what you want to do, if that's how you want to dress, okay. But don't expect me to sit here and say that's okay. Don't expect me to sit here and say that being morbidly obese is healthy, because it is not. And I'm sorry, but if I'm on an airline and I'm sitting next to somebody whose fat folds are encroaching on my seat, where people always say people who are morbidly obese need to buy 2 seats. That's part of this fat phobia thing. It's like, no, man. It's just if I'm going to be riding in an airplane and I'm sitting next to somebody who is so big that their sweaty skin is going to be encroaching onto my side of the aisle, the seating, well, that's going to be a problem for me. That doesn't make me fat phobic. It just makes me like a normal human being. So did anybody find that article? I should go to the YouTube, not the YouTube, but the whole thing with fat phobia and racism and all of that kind of thing. Because I do find that interesting.
What was it called again?
The article was called Fat Phobia and Its Racist Past and Present. It is from July 21st of 2020. Do you know what I'd be willing to bet? I'd be willing to bet that nobody's going to be able to find the headline or the story from NPR that says Fat Phobia and Its Racist Past and Present, because they pulled it down because it is so dumb.
No, I have it.
You have
it? Actually showed up, yes.
All right, so how long is it? Like, is this something that we can kind of like go over very quickly and then move on? Because I've got a lot of really important stuff.
Actually, there was on Twitter. Okay, so where does our preference for thinness really come from? Sabrina Strings explains in her book called Fearing the Black Body. The answer is complicated. She argues that the origins of modern-day fat phobia can be traced all the way back to slavery, and that Black people are still dealing with the consequences.
I don't understand. How does race come into any of this?
Yeah.
Because I hate to break it to you, but the people at the mall I've seen several now, some were Black and some were white. So maybe they're bringing up Lizzo for a reason. By the way, can I ask you this question? Lizzo lost a lot of weight.
Yeah.
Did she not lose a lot of weight?
I think she lost some. I don't think she's still at healthy levels.
Okay, but I guess my point would be is that if you are out there and you're saying it's because Lizzo was very proud of her body.
Yes.
Which was fine. I had no problem with it. Whatever. You be you. But again, and some people like that kind of thing, whatever. And Lizzo, very talented, by the way. But number one, please don't tell me that it's healthy, because it's not. But two, I find this interesting, is that when people are talking about and extolling the virtues of being obese, and then all of a sudden, they go on the GLP-1 medications and they drop 100 pounds in like a year. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, she does look good.
Oh, does she?
Yeah.
Well, and listen, and again, you do you, whatever. But, just please don't tell me it's healthy.
Right.
Then if you want to dress
really
like that, knock
cute,
yourself
too.
out.
She's really cute. She's got a cute face, cute dimples.
Lizzo?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which, you probably wouldn't have said that a year ago.
I don't know. Anyway, we got to go. 6:21 on Nashville's Morning. So should we try to dive into that whole article about, fat phobia and racism, or just move on to stuff that actually really matters?
I think we should ask people on the text line
if they want to hear this story.
Yeah.
All right, super texters, do you want Joan and I to dive into this story about fat phobia and racism, which, to be honest, that story sounds, it's so 2020. Doesn't it sound so 2020?
And besides that, what they actually did was just send this to a podcast. So we don't have anything to read.
Is it FAT or PHAT? I don't
Well, if you're from Philly, it's PHAT.
All right, it is 6:21, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. The Super Text line is open and very active today, 615-737-9986. Joan Jones is here with the news at 6:30. Joan, what's coming up?
Senate Judiciary Committee has a big vote coming up today. And there was a U.S. attorney with a very familiar name who was fired yesterday in the DOJ. You're going to love this story. It's coming up here at 6:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
6:37, Nashville's morning news on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. As far as your weather, high of 95 today, scattered thunderstorms as well. Appreciate you listening to Nashville's morning news. All right, so there is a poll out there, and I'm going to get into some of the details coming up. But the question is, are Americans changing the way they feel about illegal aliens and mass deportation? Now, there is a move afoot in the mainstream media to bring the point home and sell the narrative that, yes, the American people are softening on mass deportation. I'm going to debunk that straight ahead. But, this is a familiar speech from President Trump as he was talking about his success so far in solving the illegal alien crisis, and it is a crisis that we have in this country.
We're going to fully fund the final sections of border wall, impose a new remittance tax on money sent back to foreign countries, and dramatically increase deportations to a bare minimum of 1 million illegal aliens per year. And what we're doing is we're really going after the criminal aliens, of which we have plenty to work with.
Yeah, it makes sense. And that's been the game plan all along, right? And so Trump, he makes it clear that illegal aliens can be deported, no matter if you're a violent, gang-banging criminal or someone who has just come here illegally. All these folks can be deported. But he has said, and I believe that he has, made it clear that they are working with the criminal illegal aliens, the violent criminals first. But now we have Republicans in the House of Representatives, 9 actually, nobody from Tennessee, who have now signed on to a bill called the Dignity Act, which many, and I know a lot of you, maybe just threw up in your mouths just a little bit, the Dignity Act, which many, by the way, would actually call amnesty. But this does have bipartisan support in the House of Representatives. This is a Republican out of Florida, Elvira Salazar. Listen to what she says.
If you are undocumented and you have been in the country for more than 5 years, you do not have a criminal record. You're working and paying taxes. You can come out of the shadows with no fear and apply for the dignity status. That means they will pay a fine of $7,000 over 7 years, buy their own health insurance with no access to any federal programs, and contribute 1% of their salary to the United States Treasury. That is $50 billion plus. Just do the math. In return, they will never be deported. They will be able to go home for Christmas or to go bury their mother and come back to the United States, continue working and paying taxes. It gives them a dignified life in the promised land. Right. Period.
So there's some things actually in this bill that I like. These folks have to buy their own health insurance or get it through a job. They got to pay a $7,000 fine. They've got to contribute 1% of their salary to the Treasury in what ultimately would be, it seems to me anyway, like amnesty. But here's my question. How do we enforce any of this? That would be my question. How do we enforce these folks paying a $7,000 fine? They're not going to. They're not going to come, and I'm going to air quote this, they're not going to come out of the shadows if they have to pay a $7,000 fine. Now, I do get where they're going with this, but I just believe that it would be impossible to enforce. Let me put this another way. With Joe Biden's economy, for example, where interest rates were over 9%. Remember that whole thing? Inflation was well over 9%. Do you really think that if Congress in the future, Lord help us, but if Congress in the future is controlled by Democrats, they would rush a bill through to grant some sort of a pause on those payments that more than likely we wouldn't have really collected much in the form of these payments anyway, because I don't believe that this is something that would bring people, air quoting, out of the shadows. I just don't. And so I understand that it sounds good in theory, but I just don't buy it. It seems to me like what would happen is they would ultimately, get whatever amnesty or pathway to citizenship that they're looking for. They would get that. But all of this other stuff, making them buy their own health insurance, forcing them to pay a $7,000 fine, contribute 1% of their salary to the Treasury, I think that they would get what the Democrats want, which is some sort of an amnesty. And all of these other things, I think they would just go by the wayside. I think that they would. And by the way, this is a rehashing of a bill that from back in 2023 that they tried to push through. What would this dignity bill also do? Granting legal status and protections to undocumented immigrants already living in the United States. Now, my question is, what does legal status mean? Does that mean simply making sure visas are up to speed, or does it mean giving them full citizenship, including voting rights? Because remember, that's a big part of what the Democrats are trying to do. Also, it would reform the asylum screening process to provide an opportunity for review and access to counsel. Access to counsel, of course, that's going to cost a lot of money, and we are going to be paying for that. You know that. Creating a new regional processing centers so migrants do not have to make the, quote, perilous journey to the U.S.-Mexico border to seek asylum. Now, this I like. This is actually good. So if you are in Honduras, if you're in El Salvador, if you're in Mexico, whatever, then you start the visa process where you are, and you don't come into America via the southern border, which if there's a Democrat in office, that is going to be wide open. They claim that they're also going to invest in border security and modernizing the land ports of entry. So what are the specifics, right? Are we talking about, is it a wall? Is it, a return to Mexico policy? What exactly is it? They also say this, mandating accountability for ICE. Does that mean that they're going to put restraints on ICE? Does that mean that they are going to demand that ICE be maskless? Does that mean that they're going to have open season on ICE by doxing them? Could be. And, of course, providing a pathway to citizenship for the Dreamers. Now, they call this bill the Dignity Act, but, can I just even ask what the Dignity Act even means? Because, the Democrats are known for taking words and giving them, their own meaning. I mean, don't even get me started about how they've hijacked the rainbow. I've got a great piece of audio coming up next, and it's from a woman named Lily Tang Williams. And she has something incredible to say about all of this and why she does not support something like the Dignity Act. It is all straight ahead at 6:45. Time to check the roads on WTN. All righty, very good. 6:45 on Nashville's Morning News. As far as your weather for today, high of 95 and scattered thunderstorms. This is an incredible piece of audio. A woman named Lily Tang Williams. Now, she is running for Congress in New Hampshire. She is a Republican, and she came here from China. And you know what she did? She did it legally.
Well, I'm a legal immigrant. I came here right away. It took me 6.5 years to become citizen. My brother waited in China for 13 years, come here. It is a slap in the face to all the legal immigrants who are still waiting in line all over the world with American sponsors. Some of them have been waiting for over 10 years. What kind of message do we want to send to the world? If you follow the law, we're going to punish you. And if you come here illegally, we'll give you quick pass to citizenship. I support deport all the illegal aliens who committed crime immediately.
I mean, I love that. I do. By the way, if you want to learn more about Lily Tang Williams running for Congress in New Hampshire, I posted a link to that video, and it is on my X feed at Dan Mandis Show. So let me ask this question. What is dignified about coming to America and breaking our laws and then taking a bunch of benefits? and living off the backs of hardworking Americans. Friends, there is nothing dignified about that. And mainly what it does is it angers a lot of Americans. I mean, we all know that we are trillions of dollars in debt. We've been paying people to basically come here, breaking our laws, and then give them massive amounts of money in benefits. It's called magnetizing America. Remember what Uncle Phil said. He said we need to demagnetize America. That is now what Donald Trump is trying to do.
The Trump administration is doing away with many taxpayer-funded benefits for illegal immigrants. Among some of those benefits ending, free tuition, food assistance programs, Head Start, access to federal workforce development grants. The White House says the move will preserve roughly $40 billion in benefits for American citizens.
I love that. I mean, listen, that's what people have been saying for years. We need to demagnetize our country. And so, getting into the nuts and bolts of this, what Trump and HHS is doing is they're reclassifying these programs to exclude illegal aliens from getting these benefits and protecting American interests. Saying for too long, the government has diverted hardworking Americans' tax dollars to incentivize illegal immigration. Today's action, they say, changes that. It restores integrity to federal social programs. It enforces the rule of law. It protects vital resources for the American people. And it works to demagnetize America. By the way, another thing that Donald Trump needs to do is protect the American worker.
No one hires an illegal alien, I truly believe, out of the goodness of their heart. They hire them because they work them harder, pay them less, and undercut their competition. So this is about American business. This is about making sure U.S. citizens stay employed. This is about keeping wages at a certain level, not decreasing wages. It's the right thing to do. And there is a way to bring people in legally. Congress needs to address that.
Yeah, that is Tom Homan. You ask anyone, and I know you folks are listening, you ask anyone who works, for example, in a trade. You work maybe in construction or painting, whatever it is. The undercutting of American workers by illegal aliens, what that does, it suppresses the wages of American workers. And it is a real problem because if you're, I'm just going to say, let's say that you're a painter, right? And you're an American guy, you were born here in Middle Tennessee, and you love to paint homes. And you charge, I don't know, I'm just throwing this out there, $30 an hour. Well, guess what? You've got, some dude that has come across the southern border and he's willing to undercut you and says, I'll do it for $15 an hour. Well, then what choice do you have but to lower the rate that you charge? That is going on. And that's what Tom Homan is saying. So now, with all of this going on, do you believe this poll that made headlines this week? Americans' views on immigration took a positive swing this year amid President Donald Trump's ongoing crackdown, according to a new Gallup poll. And basically what they're trying to sell is that people are starting to see immigration in a far better light. But here's the deal. I believe that all Americans do actually look at immigration positively. It is illegal immigration that Donald Trump is trying to deal with, specifically Joe Biden's illegal immigration. They say the share of Americans who thought immigration should decrease 55% reached a 5-year high point in 2024. This year, that number has dropped to 30%, they say, and positive views of immigration have hit a record high of 79%, according to a poll released back on July 11th. The poll surveyed 1,402 Americans between June 2nd and June 26th. In other words, the poll is showing, they say, that the number of Americans who want less immigration has gone down substantially from 55 to 30%. But nobody's really talking about that. Everybody's talking about mass deportation and illegal immigration. That is what people are talking about. And people do still want mass deportation. So I do, and I know a lot of you folks do as well. I've got a positive view of legal immigration. We need legal immigration, but you got to do it legally. You've got to do it the right way. Don't punish the people who have done it the right way, which is exactly what the Dignity Act does. It punishes people who are trying to do this the right way. And by the way, they do say the chances of ultimately the Dignity Act passing here in America is slim to none. It is 6:52 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Joan Jones has the news coming up at 7. And Joan, I need the record to show that I have offered you an abundance of throat coat this morning.
You have.
From my own personal stash.
Yes, you have.
But you have your own, and so you have denied my request.
Well,
that's my offer.
That's because you offered it a while. Like I have a stash of my own because you gave me my own stash.
That's exactly right. That's the kind of guy I am, Joan.
You are. You're a sharer.
That's what I do. I share. Anyway, what's coming up in the news at 7?
We've got high heat and sweltering humidity today, so welcome to your Thursday. The full forecast is coming up. Also, Kilmar Abrego Garcia is still sitting in jail this morning. We have the latest on his case. Those stories and more coming up here at 7 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.